Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name's Frederick Weller. Today I want to talk about how to be a dungeon master for the first time. I've had a lot of people come up to me and ask me, how do I dungeon master? I haven't played D&D 5e, or I've never dungeon mastered before, and what should I do? And I've watched a lot of people give advice on how to do this, and I think sometimes people give too much advice. So I'm going to try really hard to just give you 5 points, and that's just to keep things simple for you. There's lots of information and advice that people can give you on how to run a game, but sometimes it's too much information. I would say the first thing that you need to deal with is you need to at least understand the core rules. That core rules doesn't mean understanding player characters and how their feats and their different abilities work. That's just the basic concept of combat, making skill and ability checks, how to resolve those sorts of things when the players say, I want to do something. So how do I deal with that particular issue? Well, you just need to read the rules a few times, play some games. Playing the game while somebody else is dungeon mastering is the best way to deal with this. So where do I get the rules? Well, you can buy the player's handbook. It's expensive, and you probably already have a player's handbook, hopefully, if you're already playing the game. But if you don't, and you're dungeon mastering for the first time and you're on a tight budget, I recommend that you don't actually spend much money. In fact, as little as possible. So go to the Dungeons & Dragons official website and look for the free resources. There is a PDF for the player. It also gives you information on the monsters. It has the stat blocks for monsters and some basics around magic items and how to run the game. And that's where I would start. Now, if you are willing to spend money, and as I said, I don't think you actually need to start off with, I don't think you should. There is the starters kit. Now, I highly recommend the starters kit if you have money to spend. But like I said, I would just go with a free PDF. You can purchase the 3 core rule books. The only problem is that's a lot of money, and it's also quite weighty. You imagine carrying that around wherever you go. So if you're going to go beyond just the starter set, then the player's handbook, that's definitely something you need to have. You can get away with just the player's handbook and just use the free online Dungeon Master guide, which has monster stats in it. The Monster Manual, I think the Monster Manual is probably the most important book if you are going to spend money. But like I said, expensive, and if you're starting out, I don't recommend doing it. See how you feel about actually being a Dungeon Master to begin with. And then there's the Dungeon Master's Guide. Now, the Dungeon Master's Guide has got lots of information in here, but it is primarily full of magic items. And that's done deliberately, I think, by Wizards of the Coast, so that players will buy the book as well as Dungeon Masters. But you don't really need the book. It certainly has lots of information in there that's very useful, and you can use it. But yeah, you can survive without this. So like I said, go online. I will put a link in the description below. Go online and just download the free PDF that allows you to get the core rules, some of the player options, and also gives you the monsters in the free PDF. There's also the SRD, and I'll try to make sure I have a link below so you can access that as well, so you don't have to find it. Number 2, you need an adventure. Now, a lot of people might say, oh, you should create your own adventure. That's a lot of stress for a new dungeon master, and I don't think that's a good idea. I actually think you're probably better off, if you want to make life easy for yourself, and I'm all about making life easy for you, just use a pre-made adventure. You can buy those big campaigns like Horde of the Dragon Queen or Out of the Abyss, but they cover like levels 1 to 15. You have no idea if you're going to want to run a game that long. So I don't actually think you should bother buying them. Just forget that completely. There is a very good adventure in the starter set called The Lost Mine of Phandelver, and I highly recommend it. It's sandboxy, it's simple to run, it's easy to prepare, you will enjoy it, but what I recommend you do when you're starting out is don't spend any money. Like I said, just go online and find a whole lot of free 5e Dungeons and Dragon adventures, and there are so many. You can find them on the Dungeon Masters Guild, and I will leave a link below so you can access that. And I will probably have a look around and see if I can find a link so you don't have to go and look for some free adventures. I quite often have sent people by email free adventures that are short. Now, short is important. You're starting out, make it short. Nice and short is the best way to go. And when you get your adventure, best thing you can do is read it a couple of times. Anything that's more than 30 pages is far too long. Okay? Prepare a lot less than that. Now, what do you need after that? Well, you're going to need paper, pencil and dice. So, dice, a pencil and a piece of paper. That's really everything you need. You don't need anything else. In fact, you don't actually need the dice. If you've got a cell phone, just go online and find a free app, a dice rolling app, download that for free, put it on your phone and use that, okay? And just go from there. So that's number 3. Well, what's number 4? Number 4 is very simple. You have to find some players. You've got to find somebody who's willing to play with you and have you as a first time dungeon master. And I highly recommend using friends and family. You can run your first game in a public forum, in a store if you want. I don't think that's such a good idea. I think you should keep it private to start off with, primarily because dungeon mastering for a public forum is a little bit like throwing somebody into a pool of piranhas. They will strip the flesh off you, and by the end they may have in fact eaten your bones as well. You probably will never go back to actually dungeon mastering. It takes a very special person to be able to run a public game, either for Adventure League, a home game, or just your own game that you're using a pre-made adventure. It can be quite an unpleasant experience, and that's why I would say run a private game to start with. Friends and family are good. They are going to be a lot less difficult for you to manage. Okay, number 5. Number 5 is in fact the most important element, and that is you need to relax. Okay, when you run your game, you don't need to keep reading the adventure for the 10th time. What you need is you need to figure out how to relax so you don't worry about things. You're going to make mistakes, that's guaranteed. You are going to have moments where you won't know what to do. It's guaranteed. It's going to happen. So what do you do to relax? Well, you can tell a couple of jokes before your session. You can just catch up with your friends and family, provided they're not talking about really sensitive issues. You know, if somebody's going through some sort of horrible medical treatment for cancer, that's really not the topic you want to be discussing before you run your game. The other thing that you can do is you can listen to some music, some calming music that you like, music that makes you feel happy and helps you relax. So angry, thrashing music, probably not the best thing to do. Another way that you can relax is you can have a beer. Have 2, just not too many. You can also use other alcohol, but I think beer is probably about as unoffensive as you can get. I know some people don't like beer and they would prefer a wine. You're not trying to get drunk, you're just trying to mellow out and relax so that when you run the game, it's actually fun for you and fun for your players. And yes, that always helps if the Dungeon Master relaxes. I don't have anything really else that I want to say, and I know that sounds strange because I haven't said very much, but the most important thing for you is just to keep things simple. And I have nothing more to say. I'm going to stop now. So if you found this video informative or helpful, please share, like and subscribe. And I want you to make a comment below. If you're a first time Dungeon Master or have been recently, Please tell me what the experience was. If you haven't dungeon mastered D&D and you would like to, and you have a few questions around it, by all means ask those questions below. I will probably not necessarily go into great depth in the comments, but I might do a video about it. Until next time, keep rolling those 20s.